Hey guys, it's Bailey and welcome back to the channel for a dupe or dud where I'm going to be comparing the Beauty Blender, which retails for $20 for one sponge, versus a new sponge set from e.l.f. It's their precision brush set, I believe, and you get 3 sponges for $12, all of varying sizes as you can see here. Just to let you know whether or not you can really get this set of 3 for 12 bucks or if the Beauty Blender is still worth the splurge as far as performance goes. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start with a size and shape comparison. I feel like that is one of the major factors that comes to duping the Beauty Blender. So these are wet. I used both of these to apply my makeup today. Actually, yeah, this is how it went. I used the e.l.f. set on this side of my face, and I'll show the demo here as well. And then I used the Beauty Blender for everything that I used all 3 of these sponges for. Use the Beauty Blender instead on the other side of my face, just so you can get a feel for the very real differences that exist between these 2 sponges. So first, like I said, let's start with the shape. You can see the e.l.f. sponge is a little bit, first let's start with dry, because I did do a dry comparison, and the Beauty Blender certainly puffs up. It's much smaller dry, but then can actually hold a candle to the size of the e.l.f. once it's puffed up with water. The e.l.f. is slightly more tiered. Well, it's a little bit fatter, I guess, whereas the Beauty Blender is more teardrop. You still have a little bit more precision up here at the tip, whereas you have to work a little harder to get that way with the e.l.f. sponge. And then as far as texture goes, the e.l.f. sponge is firmer. All of these across the board, same spongy material, much firmer, and it retains water a lot more. Like when I squeeze both of them, the e.l.f. not only feels firmer, but I can still hear some of the water left in here. And I found across the board with these, and I think you'll be able to see in the demo throughout this video, that as a result, it kind of dilutes my foundation. And I know a lot of people, that's one of the reasons why they like blenders, is because that little bit of extra dampness just helps your foundation blend in. But I personally find that this holds so much water that it dilutes my foundation into being a thinner coverage than I personally like. Only because if I wanted a lighter coverage, I would use a lighter coverage foundation. So that's my take on that. And I find that I just don't run into that same issue with the Beauty Blender. I can squeeze this out and feel like it retains the right amount of moisture to remain bouncy on the skin, but it lays just as much product down as it would if I used a brush. Obviously, this also soaks up a lot of product, so it's like it is just literally a sponge. It soaks up your product. I've noticed having to use a lot more with these e.l.f. sponges, and because they are white, like I don't know why they chose white of all the colors. You really, I mean, I've washed this daily before I use it just because it makes sense. You're gonna have to get it wet anyway, so I wash it with soap, water, the whole shebang before I go in and using it. And you can see before I start the demo, is dirty. Like it gets stained, the product doesn't come out, it just, yeah, really retains those colors, so I always feel like I have a dirty sponge. So like I said, first went in with these 2 for my foundation, then I went to the smallest precision sponge here from the e.l.f. kit to do the concealer, applied the concealer in my under eye area, and then went in on each side of my face with both of these to blend that in. Once again, I just found that the Beauty Blender didn't soak up quite as much product, so it left me with a little bit more coverage on that side versus this guy where it blended it out. And this is a really nice size, like it puffs up enough to where you can get a good grip and still get in the under eye area. I understand. When I first saw the Beauty Blender come out with this size, I was like, that's ridiculous. You really don't need that. After having tried this now, I definitely get where this would be helpful in the under eye area and around the nose and kind of spot concealing around the face like that. But it's that same spongy material as the rest of the collection where it just soaks up so much product, dilutes the product as you apply it. And so for that reason, once again, the Beauty Blender wins. Then you also get this mid-size sponge, which I've been loving to apply liquid bronzer. Specifically, the one that came in my Play by Sephora. This is the Bare Mineral Sheer Sun, but there are quite a few out there at this point. Basically though, I just wanted to show you a way to use this mid-size, at the same time show you how the Beauty Blender is just as effective as doing it. So I like to put that bronzer on the back of my hand, then go in with the sponge and start dabbing it on the areas where I want that bronze. But as you can see, the e.l.f. soaked it right up. And once again, you can see it diluted the product, and then I feel like it removed, because it retained so much moisture, it moved some of the foundation underneath. Like I had even sheer coverage after I applied the bronzer than before, and that just wasn't the case with when I did the same thing with the Beauty Blender. So once again, not a dupe, but great to know that this one sponge pretty much can dupe each of these 3 sizes and still give you better performance as far as the material goes, because it's not going to soak up that much product or as much product. It's not going to dilute the products as you apply them. And just in general, it is a softer sponge. It's much easier to kind of pounce across the skin, whereas these, because I'm not sure if it's the material or because it retains so much water, it's just a firmer sponge, and so it's not quite as pouncy. So there you have it. I'm sorry to say that these 3 sponges are not dupes for the Beauty Blender. I could do everything with the Beauty Blender that I did with those 3 sponges, and I feel like I did it better. Like I said, just because it doesn't soak up the product and then dilute it as you are applying it. So unfortunately, this is not a cheaper alternative for the Beauty Blender, unless that is you're totally cool with the results you saw and you don't mind, you like a little bit of lighter coverage, especially as we're going to summer. By all means, consider that set. I just wanted to share my thoughts and experiences with them and why I prefer the Beauty Blender, but that's what these duper duds / reviews are all about, so you can actually see the product as it performs to understand whether or not you're cool with those differences. So that's it from me, guys. Really hope you found this video useful. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm gonna have at least 1 or 2 more duper dud videos coming up, because with this e.l.f. order, I also got the liquid, these liquid kind of metallic-y shimmer eyeshadows that are very similar to the Maybelline, the ones that I recently reviewed, those liquid metal shadows. So gonna do a duper dud there as well, because those are $10 and e.l.f.'s are considerably cheaper, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.